The crypto markets are turning up as Bitcoin crosses $98,000. Is the bull market back? We'll talk about that. Also, what did Marathon Digital CEO say on Fox Business and what he believes will happen to Bitcoin in 2025? We're going to talk some AI today. We have our friend Forrest joining us as he does on every Friday. We're also going to talk about some DeFi and what Crypto.com is doing and how that could potentially have an impact on the Kronos token. We have that and much, much more in today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, stale information and repackage that whole thing up in a fun and sexy way. Bitcoin's back, 98, almost 99,000. Altcoins are up. New Year's here. And, well, what are we? 2-3 weeks away from Donald Trump coming in office.
Robin, those are
passing some executive orders. And
excellent observation.
yes, I saw it, and so I see it.
I seen it.
Right.
Yes. Happy New Year. We got our friend Forrest joining us. Forrest, welcome back, my friend. We missed you last week. We hope you had a great New Year. What was one of your New Year's resolutions? Was it to get 1,000x instead of 100x?
What are you talking about? We've gotten multiple 1,000Xs in 2024. We got to go for the 10,000X.
I'm just kidding. Happy
1 billion X.
New Year's resolution, just probably be more organized.
More organized? That's why we have women in our lives, though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they're more organized than
Yeah,
women.
but I like my desk right now is just an absolute mess. I got to get more organized.
It's okay. I can't help you because I'm not organized myself, but I'm sure you'll figure it out, my friend. All right, let's start here with this article here. Bitcoin climbs back to 98,000 as market slowly rebounds. Forrest, what is your? I feel like there's a lot of people on different sides of the fence with what we're going to see from the markets here in Q1. A lot of people think that the run up we had after Donald Trump was elected, going into December, was, I don't want to say the top, but that was the big run, and then everything else is going to be 20, 30%. Where do you feel like we are with Bitcoin, and what do you think we're going to see, at least in Q1 of this year? Historically, Q1 has been really big for ETH. Do you think that's going to continue? Do you think BlackRock has seen outflows multiple days now from their Bitcoin ETF? So what are your thoughts on where Bitcoin is and kind of where we're going in the next 3 months?
I think it's alt season. I think it's full on alt season. I think alt season started a couple days ago. You could make an argument that alt season maybe even started with the election, on November 5th, but we had the big drawdown over the Christmas holidays, and I think it's alt season. I think we're going to see a lot of speculation in this market going into the Trump inauguration. I think January is historically one of the best months for altcoins in general. 2025 is the first year of the Trump presidency. If you follow election cycles, the first year of a presidential cycle or term is generally your best returning year. So everything's just lining up, in my opinion, to see a really strong January. I'm a little bit more cautious going into like February, March, April. But January is looking really, really solid, in my opinion. It's hard. I think we saw huge outflows yesterday in Bitcoin, but I think that was just simply rebalancing. Like, you have funds that sit and have to, when we talked about this going, way before the ETF was even approved, you have funds that they might say they want a 3% Bitcoin allocation. Well, if they go into the first day of 2025 and Bitcoin has 2x'd since they rebalanced in Q3 or before, or has gone up 60, 70%, they have to sell off a ton of Bitcoin just to get back to that 3% allocation. So I think from here on out, we're probably going to see upside in both Bitcoin, but I think both Bitcoin and altcoins, but I think it's alt season personally.
Well, you said you're kind of cautious about February, March, April. Is there a reason for that? Like, what's your kind of thesis there?
Seasonality, for one, February in broader markets, in traditional finance, you look at the S&P 500, the second worst month out of the year is February. September is the worst. February is the second worst historically. So you have kind of some historical seasonality that tends to slow down markets in February. You also have, generally speaking, coming off of a very bullish year. A lot of people in crypto made a lot of money last year. A lot of that money, it's got to go to the tax man come April. So I think February and March are going to be seeing a lot of people potentially have to sell off. You also have a large amount of capital gains. February is a big window. If you remember last year, the ETF pump in Bitcoin, we saw a bid from 20, I think it was like 27 or maybe it's 37K. Basically, we ran from like 37K all the way to $70,000 in Bitcoin, or 73K. And that happened basically in February and March over the course of 2 months. So you have a ton of people that allocated to the ETF exactly a year ago, starting in February. Well, what happens with taxes a year later? You go from long-term capital gains tax, which it could be upwards of 40 to 43%, to long-term capital gains tax, which is like 15%. If you throw the state in there as well, it might be like 20%. So your tax liability is cut in half for all those people who bought after the ETF in February. And they're not selling. They're like, why would they sell right now? That's another reason I think January is going to be great. Why would you sell if your tax liability, like you might want to sell your Bitcoin really bad because you like made a ton of money on it. But if you bought in February of last year, why would you sell until February of this year? The answer is you probably don't want to sell because you're going to get short-term capital gains tax and reduce your tax liability by about half if you just hold on for another couple of weeks. So I personally think we're going to pump super hard into February, and then I think February could just be a little slower. I'm not calling for a top in February. It could like a cycle top, but I think February could definitely slow the market down a little bit. Maybe we get a local top, some compression, some consolidation, but that's just speculative at this point.
That's a good point. You mentioned going from short-term to long-term capital gains tax, and that's a big jump, right? It's a lot of money you end up saving and just waiting 1 month. But it'd be interesting to see, with everything happening by that time, February, March, Trump's been in office already. We've probably seen, we've probably seen some executive orders, potentially some legislation, maybe not pass, but maybe passes the House, goes to the Senate. Do we have any new information on the Bitcoin reserve? So it'd be interesting when those two things come ahead, what essentially, so to say, will take the cake? What will be the bigger catalyst? Is it people that waited to sell to realize those gains? Or is it the people that are like, oh my God, it's actually happening. We're going to get a reserve. We're going to do this. And they end up maybe even adding to their, bumping up their 3% allocation to 4% or 5%, or I don't know. But it'd be interesting to see. You have any thoughts on that? Any of this, Rob?
I don't know, man. I'm terrified of my tax implications right now. Y'all said tax. Made a lot of money this year.
So Forrest thinks January is going to be big, and then February, March might be a little.
Well, I mean, I was, I brought it up last week. I was like, hey, you know what? I think we saw the drawdown in Bitcoin, and it was simply off the back of traditional finance, whales, Wall Street investors saying, hey, you know what? Let's sell now, because the ETF launched, Bitcoin was at 45,000. It even dipped all the way down to 40,000. And so you got to think of all the Wall Street investors that bought then are over 2x in profit, right? Even if you sold at 93,000, you're over 2x. And so for a Wall Street investor, that's amazing returns. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that was the reason we saw Bitcoin go from 108,000 down to 92, 91,000. And now, no surprise, new year, we're off to a rally again. And it might be the same damn investor. It might be the same person that sold in late December that is now like, okay, let's get back in the game. and so now we're back up to 100K. And then also, I think that it's just foreshadowing. People are anticipating Donald Trump coming in, being pro-crypto, and seeing a Bitcoin rally there as well, right? I mean, if if you're at all plugged in with politics and Donald Trump's kind of link to crypto and what that means for prices, I mean, you're pretty bullish on the fact that Bitcoin's going to probably rally with some executive orders towards crypto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're not the only ones. So there you go.
I was going to say, oh, never mind. But I'm curious, curious what you guys think here. You know, Forrest, I don't know how much weight you put into this chart, but you know, a lot of people are starting to ask the question of, hey, are we closer to the top? You know, where are we at in the bull market? Are we in the beginning, the middle? Are we towards the end? Where do you think we are, Forrest, on this psychology of market cycle chart?
I kind of have two theories. I think we either are about to see a really big blow off top in like January that kind of leaks into like mid-February maybe, and that'll be the top for the entire cycle. Or if we don't see that, or if we're able to kind of chop around and recover through those February, March, April months, I think we could be in for like a much larger cycle. So I don't know where that would put us on this specific chart, but probably maybe like optimism, where this is just, you know, starting to get, you know, and I don't know if either of those scenarios kind of like fit this chart in particular. Like, I think either we top in January and it's all over, or if, that's not my base case, to be honest. Alternatively, I think there's a really good chance that we see just like a huge like parabolic 2017 style run where it doesn't look like this chart at all. It's much more parabolic in nature. If you look at the 2017 Bitcoin curve, it's just 20-30% corrections along the way, but just relentless bidding into a blow off top, and we get like, you know, $200,000-300,000+ Bitcoin that, you know, everybody wants to see. But I don't know. I it's dangerous to get tied to try to speculate too far out and get tied to any one scenario, because I want to be pretty fluid with my decision making moving forward.
You know, I was having this conversation with Robin yesterday. I was like, you know, we're going into a year where we've never really had this before, right? I think crypto is going to be front and center with, you know, and I think back to the tech era, right? The early 2000s, everything just absolutely ran. The internet stock, right? Everything ran, everything kind of crashed. And then it was just like almost a decade of nothing but building and new, you know, new functionality and new companies emerging and new things happening. And I kind of have that feeling that that's where we're going through with crypto. You know, crypto, I think, is going to be a mainstay, maybe not like the number one thing, but I think it's going to be top 5 for the entirety of Donald Trump's presidency of what they look to do with crypto and leveraging blockchain and some of the things that these projects are doing in the space and how that relates to, you know, people's everyday lives. When we talk about AI agents, when you talk about, you know, infrastructure, right? DPIN, when you talk supply chain management, all of that. And so it's just interesting to me. Could we, and I'm not saying we're going to see like a super cycle, but what if we see something similar to where we see that blow off top and then 90% of coins just crash. And then you have a select few. When I say few, I mean maybe a few hundred of them that just continue to steadily grow in value because they're actually being used and leveraged for everyday use case. And they're kind of front and center. So that kind of crossed my mind yesterday. It's just interesting, but interesting. What's interesting also is what you said. You know, you said if we get a blow off top in January, I think that's it. But if not, we can get an extended cycle. When you say extended cycle, are you saying through 2025 and 2026, and then we maybe don't get a bear market to 2027? Or what's kind of your thoughts on that second base case you gave?
If we get a bigger cycle, I think it'll just be pretty much in line with 2017. So like 2020, like 8 years ago, just through 2025. I think you have like a big blow off in Q4 of 2025, maybe an alt season in January, and then 2026 ends up being pretty rough. I hope that's what we get, but it just really just depends on how fast this market starts moving. Like I think XRP could be $10 within the next 30 to 40 days, which is, kind of crazy. But if the market starts moving really, really fast here in a short period of time, I think we could be in for like a kind of a longer, more drawn out, sideways, choppy summer like we had last year. But no, I mean, I think if there's ever a time, like there's so much historical precedent to be like really, really bullish for 2025. There's always monsters under the bed to watch out for. Like, we've got $7 trillion in debt that needs to be rolled over in 2025, which is super inflationary, could be seen as bullish for risk assets, but bearish for debt markets. So there's always things, there's always potential for recession or monsters under the bed. But I think 2025 just is lining up really nicely, just from a crypto cycle standpoint, but also a liquidity cycle standpoint, a presidential cycle standpoint. And I personally think January is like, I'm kind of just obsessed with it and really focused on like the next 20 to 40 days, because I think there's opportunity to make a lot of money in crypto in the next 20 to 40 days, and then just see how the market reacts going forward. I don't want to speculate too far out, but yeah, 2025 I think is probably going to be super bullish in the long run. You just have to manage through the drawdowns and the corrections appropriately.
Awesome. Forrest, can we take a look at a Bitcoin chart, and then we'll move on from Bitcoin and we'll get into some altcoin news here?
Sure. Let me share my screen here. All right. That is not a Bitcoin chart. That is the XRP Bitcoin chart. Yeah. So what kind of time frame are we wanting to look at? I think, the weekly time frame, we're just seeing this inverse head and shoulders start to play out. Or seeing continuation off of it. On a log view, this would have this. Here's your super cycle. There's your 2025 is super bullish. So maybe it takes a little bit longer. You see something like that, and that would be in June of 2026. I think markets move parabolically and they accelerate in nature. So there's you probably be more in line with like December 2025. Seeing a move to the other 300, 250,000 plus Bitcoin. I'm a little bit cautious about that. I think everything has to go really well for us to get something like for this to play out for Bitcoin. What I mean by well, like I think you need a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the US to come through. And actually, I think we'll get one, but until we do, I don't think 300K Bitcoin is realistic without a strategic Bitcoin reserve coming through in 2025. If you move to like a non-logarithmic view and you take your measured move and it's more of a linear view here, I think you have a more conservative target of like 130K Bitcoin, which is still like phenomenal performance. Like I'll be thrilled at 130K Bitcoin. And I think like if you've been in Bitcoin for a long time, or if you've been trading this market, if and when Bitcoin gets to 130K, like probably a pretty decent place to trim profits and look to add back on any sort of corrections and reassess the market. I do think we could reach this 130K target here in like January, and I think even altcoins could outperform on top of that move for Bitcoin in January. The only thing that's got me a little bit, I don't want to say worried, but is make me a little bit more hesitant on Bitcoin is the fact that market makers had to step in and really backstop us in the last 2 weeks of December, right? They really stepped in and held the line here. There were a lot of people that were kind of calling for deeper corrections down in the high 80s. And you think a lot of traders got kind of front run. They wanted to bid down here, and they got front run by the market makers stepping in and putting in support at this level. Well, market makers don't really hold. Their business model is not to sit and hodl and let things run significantly higher. They'll step out of the way and pull their asks if we jam through the top of this range. But I believe what's essentially been happening is the market makers have been building a range, and Michael Saylor just deviated us from that range. So I think our resistance has been 100K. Our support has been roughly low 90s, right? And then these big deviations above has been a couple things. Michael Saylor coming in and just bidding at the top with as much money as he can get a hold of. And then I think once we broke 100K and reclaimed it, you had Michael Saylor bidding, but you had a lot of exuberance, a lot of people saying, oh, we're going to zip from 100K to 150K really, really quickly, right? And then we got that full retrace. So I am bullish here, but look, I believe that we are kind of, heading, butting up into resistance here soon. I really want to see Bitcoin take out 100K and spend some time above 100K, because I do believe that all the coins that got accumulated down here by market makers are now for sale up here between $100 and $102,000. So you do have a big ask here for Bitcoin to get through. If it can get through that, then I do think we could zip up to 130K or so. By the end of January, ideally, I'd like to see this market start to move very aggressively and very quickly.
Awesome. Just a reminder to folks, we do have this. FTX starts distributing money this week. I think it said first wave is $6.5 to $7.5 billion. These will be paid in cash and stable coins, so they're not getting the crypto back. They're getting dollars back via stable coins and actual fiat currency. And so how much of that's going to be redeployed into the markets, who knows, but that's another potential catalyst. And then this is a funny meme I want to share. It says, people, don't get involved in crypto. It's too risky. And your average crypto investor just says, well, let's try something new here. See this, Robin? And then I want to share this here from Raul Paul. I've been deep in the AI agent trenches here. He said this. He said, unpopular opinion, I think the current AI agents theme is mid-curve and took off because nothing else was going on to amuse the chronic gamblers. What are your thoughts on what Mr. Raul Paul said here, Robin?
He's always on like different. He's always very polarizing opinions, and it's like he leans super one way on speculative kind of like forward-thinking technology, and then he'll reverse course on something else, and then all of a sudden say Cardano's the worst investment ever. You get what I'm saying? Like he makes good points, but he also misses so badly sometimes, right? Sometimes he has such good thesis on evolving technology and how blockchain, kind of fits that role. He can spot out markets. He was very, very behind, or he was deep in the NFT sector, and even before it kind of popped off. And he was like an expert that was saying, "Hey guys, you're gonna make a ton of money on NFTs." And so I don't know. I feel like not surprised. I'll put it that way.
What about you, Forrest? What are your thoughts?
No, Raul missed he missed the AI agent meta, and he's coping. This is just straight up cope. He has no exposure to the most explosive, biggest meta and narrative crypto has seen in a very long time, and he's just coping. He's saying that what did it say? That he thinks it's an empty narrative that like this is the guy who jumped on smoking chicken fish meme coin. Now, like, I don't think he's like a bad investor, and I he does have some good takes from time to time, but this is him just like straight up coping mentally that he just missed a massive opportunity. And I think in a month after we see some cool down periods and maybe some corrections in these AI agents, I think he'll jump on board and turn bullish on it once he gets his exposure, once he ends up capitulating and buying into it. I don't know how else to say this. Like, I don't think anyone can really sit and look at AI and be like, oh, this is just an empty narrative that has no impact. I think it's way more impactful than meme coins. And it's way easier to explain to your investors, your LPs, your wife, your girlfriend, that you've invested in AI agents and AI agent infrastructure than it is to tell your wife or your investors, if you're running a fund, that you're invested in smoking chicken fish meme coin. I don't know how you defend meme coins and then like say that AI agents are not a good narrative.
Forrest, he said, it took off because nothing else was going on to amuse the chronic gamblers. I agree with you. I couldn't disagree more. There's some people that are late to the party, and then there's others like Sistine Research and Sin City Crypto that are early to the party. Between your research hub and the plays you put in there and the research you do, and AI coins over the last month, I made more money than I've ever made in my life. And so I just have this post up here for you, Forrest, that you posted. The entire AI agent sector is only 15 billion. Meme coins are 121. The AI agent sector is on a speed run to 100 billion. This has been my thesis for AI. We're in the early stages of what people can comprehend of what AI can really do, right? You got new hardware, new software that is continuously being improved and added to the market, which continues to keep it in the mainstream narrative and continues that hype train, right? There's only so long, Elon Musk, right? He just changed his profile picture and his name to Kekius Maximus. And that was a narrative for 2 days. And then it's gone. Something like AI is going to be a narrative for a long time. And when I say a long time in terms of crypto, 6 months to a year, at least from a speculation standpoint, you're going to have that. Then it's going to mature into, okay, well, these AI agents, and now I think we're at a point now to where people are throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? And you throw whatever at the wall, you're going to make some money on it. But eventually, the stuff that's got the adhesive behind it will stick to the wall. The other stuff that's kind of crappy will fall. And then we'll go into a new phase of like true utility when the market figures out, hey, this is valuable, this is valuable, this is not, this is not, this is. And then those things will catapult another speed run of an AI sector. And so I'm like, I don't think I've ever been more bullish on a sector than AI and AI agents. And so I don't know. Another one, we obviously talk about virtual protocol. There's another one that I want you guys watching to keep your eye on, and their token is dropping soon. It's creator.bid. What this allows you to do is any agents that are created on their platform, you can stake them and you can farm their airdrop. Their token is going live. Rob and I were playing around with their platform yesterday. It's on par with virtuals. Some people say it's better than virtuals. I'm not going to sit there and compare the two, but it's on par. It's pretty damn good, and it leverages BitTensor. And so it's just something to keep an eye on, and they reposted this from DraftKings, DraftKings, or however you pronounce it. But either way, you get one on Creator Bid, you get one of the AI agents there, and you can lock it up, and you can farm some of their future tokens. And so you're going to see that. That's. I'm just so bullish on the sector.
The one thing about AI is coming on and its kind of presence in blockchain is that AI outside of blockchain, you need venture capital, you need a bunch of compute power to get anything launched off the ground, or you just simply use an API plugin and you rip off someone else's tech and you're basically just repackage somebody else's tech and put it on your web browser, right? AI though on blockchain, it's a similar scenario that you have in gaming, right? In Web3 and in blockchain gaming is that it takes a massive amount of money, a big ass team and funding and, all of the hurdles to launch a video game, right? And traditional studios take years and you have to raise so much money. It takes forever to build a game. But now what we're seeing with blockchain, like take a look at Off the Grid, they have a ton of money, but a lot of that came off of the fact that they have early investors and they have a token, and then they're leveraging Avalanche, and so anyways, they bring in a ton of money for startups and money that would essentially be very difficult to launch a video game. I think the same is said here for AI, right? And these AI agents, instead of if you wanted to run some AI platform without blockchain, you got to bring up a lot of money, have a development team, or you just simply use someone else's API. And like I said, you're kind of limited there. And I think that what we're seeing is that we're going to have a ton of new AI agents with real world use case. And that's because they can leverage the funding that blockchain provides. And I think that you can have a team of 5 or 6 people generate $10 million worth of funding, via whatever route you want to go with token. And in doing so, you can fund innovation, and then you can just plug it into real world, to real world businesses and have real world utility. So I don't think that people are really grasping. I don't think the likes of Raoul Pal are grasping how blockchain and AI have a leg up against all other AI because, hey, you know what? We got the power of funding. We got the power of a quickly moving market cap in a token asset. And in doing so, you're going to outcompete the hell out of everybody, right? If I decide to start an AI company tomorrow with no blockchain, I mean, where do I get that money? How long does it take me to start up? How long does it take me to find a team? If I start one with crypto, you know, I can find 5 devs real quick. And then we're probably going to generate, if you get a all-star team behind you, 5 devs, and you know, you got the right social media plugs, you're off and running in what, 3 weeks?
An interesting point. Very interesting point. Forrest, I saw a couple of comments in the chat. I shared on the stream yesterday that I swapped a large majority of my Solana for BitTensor. There's a couple people that want to know what your thoughts were on that.
No, you just want to feel comfortable with your trade, bro.
No, it's done.
he's like, did I mess up?
No, I'm very confident in it.
Okay.
I always like outside opinion though. So Forrest, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So the Solana chart looks pretty decent, all things considered, as of like the last day or two. It was looking rough there for a minute. But Solana does have some headwinds with like some unlocks this year. I'm not the biggest fan of Solana in 2025. I was a huge fan of Solana at $20, north of $200. I just think your returns on Solana is just much worse risk reward. I'm not super in the know on BitTensor, so I can't sit and say like, you know, bullish or bearish on that. What I do know that it's AI though, and anything with AI attached to the name in 2025 is, I think 2025 is like the year of AI. I think anything that has anything to do with AI is going to go into a massive bubble. I think it's going to be like the .com bubble, and especially if we get like the 2025 is the full on like bull cycle. I think AI has way better risk reward. I think there's a lot of stuff in AI that is going to go down like 99.9%, just like most, you know, stocks, .com stocks did into the 2000, 2001. So I think you have to be very careful in terms of like how long you hold some of this stuff and how you manage the positions. But I do think that that AI is going to be going into a huge bubble here in 2025. So just based off of that alone, I'd say probably a good trade. If you want, I can throw a BitTensor. I can look at the charts, but just off of like my thesis on AI in 2025 alone, I'd say like, yeah, probably solid.
Yeah. Well, maybe look at a BitTensor chart, but I want to talk about one more thing. You know, you posted on your X handle your predictions for 2025, and there was one in there. You talked about X payments launching on Stellar. Do you have any insight to that? I know you posted that when XLM went on that run from 9 cents to 60 cents. I vividly remember your post saying XLM is trading like someone knows that X payments is going to be ran on Stellar. Where are you at with that thesis? And if that does happen, what's your base case for how high XLM can go?
Yeah, so it's pure speculation. If you like, I think the broader market believes that X payments is going to be like Doge tipping. Like you're just going to be able to send somebody some Doge on X if they have a post you like. A, I think that's kind of stupid. B, it's like Elon and the people at X have made it extraordinarily clear that that is not at all what they want to build. They want to build something that is more in line with Venmo and Cash App, and then has like Robinhood-esque functionality where you can invest in crypto and stocks like you can on Robinhood, but you're just investing through X. They want to replace your need for a bank by using X instead. Well, if you look at there are options for how to actually do that, like how to actually send money globally. If you want to send US dollars to somebody in Japan and swap it for Japanese yen for their native currency, whatever. If you want to send, like, what is the best two networks for that have been built, and they are XRP and Stellar, right? Or Ripple and Stellar. I think Ripple is going more after the enterprise usages and use cases and users and going after like banks and institutions. Stellar is more aimed peer-to-peer. And I think Stellar fits exactly what it is that they are actually aiming to build. So it's purely speculative. You also have some not weird connections, but like the founder of Jed McCaleb, the founder of Stellar Lumens and the Stellar Network, runs a rocket, also owns a rocket company. They build infrastructure for rockets, and they do business with SpaceX, right? So like Elon and Jed McCaleb have done business together, and he's aware of Jed McCaleb, the founder of Stellar. So it's purely speculative, but I think there's like this very weird, twisted view about what X money or X payments is going to be, and I think like the market is pricing in that it's going to be like some big, amazing thing for Dogecoin. I actually think that that's like not the case at all. Like it may have a Doge integration on top of all this, but I just don't think that it's going to be built solely on Doge. So I actually think like Dogecoin potentially gets overvalued here and crashes once X money launches if it doesn't have a Doge integration. And I think if it ends up being on Stellar Lumens, there's like nobody speculating on that. I don't think it's priced in at all. I think it's like 5 to 10x pretty immediately if X payments launches on Stellar, because I don't think anyone in the market is really speculating on that. Beyond that, so that's purely like maybe that's a 5-10% chance that happens. But the investment in Stellar is like very backstopped because I'm extraordinarily in 2025 and really for the next couple of years, but especially in 2025 and over the next 20 to 40 days, I'm crazy bullish on XRP. Have been since 50 cents. Super bullish on XRP. XLM runs as beta on XRP, right? So let's just say I'm wrong about X money or X payments being built on Stellar Lumens. I don't see any speculation in the market on that. So I'm not worried about like X money launching and it's not on Stellar Lumens. And then like, I don't think Stellar crashes. I don't think XLM crashes because of if X money comes out and it's not built on Stellar. I do think Doge crashes if X money comes out and it doesn't have a Doge integration. So I can sit in almost like free roll speculation on XLM and make like a 5 to 10x on it if X money is built on Stellar. And if it's not, XLM still probably does well just because it runs as beta on XRP. And I think XRP is going to do extraordinarily well here. So I think the risk reward is like super skewed in favor of XLM right now.
Interesting. 5 to 10x if that's announced. Interesting. I think I agree with you, dude. That would be absolutely massive. You got to remember, X has over 200 million daily active users. And so you have functionality for micropayments and tipping and everything else. It will be a huge catalyst for XLM. All right. Let's take a look at the markets here. Forrest, I will ask you for, I'll give you kind of a heads up for a chart. I will ask you for a chart on virtuals and a chart on ICP, if you want to prompt those up really quick.
And then while you pull those up, just a little love to the chat. If you're new here, say hello. We'd love to give you a little shout out, or a little recognition. We got Franz Dip, Rand, CLS Media, Jose C, Vishen, Sanic the Dank Hog, Miroslav, I'm Superman, Don Carlos, Christian G, Prod by Flint, Trick Shots, The Kid. To all of you, hola! Welcome.
All right, so BTC still over 98,000, 98,645, 624. ETH up 4.5% on the day. Looks like it's the third largest gainer in the top 10. Well, fourth. So Cardano's up 15% at $1.10. You have Dogecoin up 11%, sitting at 37.8 cents. Solana had a nice rally, 16% rally over the last 7 days, sitting at $216.64. AVAX is moving. That is up 7.5% at $42. I believe Robin bought the dip on this one. I don't know if he pulled the trigger or not, but Toncoin is an interesting one. Had a big run, kind of slowed down, but there's a little bit of ton news and what Telegram is looking to do with NFTs that might provide a potential spark for that token. Hedera up pretty big, 8% on the 24-hour, 7% on the week. Take a look at the top gainers over the last 24 hours. SPX 6900 is the top gainer, 32% on the day. Athena, this is one. Man, I wanted this under 90 cents. I couldn't get it. I bought a little bit under $1, but under 90 cents, I was going to really go in. But some news on Athena, and I'll just share it now. They're planning a major expansion with Telegram payments and institution-focused IUSDE token in bid to become a neobank. Synthetic stablecoin protocol Athena plans to launch a new synthetic dollar savings token geared towards financial incumbents and Telegram-based payments app in Q1 of this year. They're looking to become a neobank, which is a traditional financial institution that operates entirely online, according to an announcement on Friday. This might be something, and I think it's already happening to some level, but we want to talk about DeFi for institutions. I think this is the play here, man. So Athena up 19% on the 24-hour. The number 3 gainer here is ICP at $12.32. We did do an ICP video that we'll be dropping today. Forrest, I'll stop there. Can we take a look at an ICP chart? I had some levels plotted out on my chart, right on that $14.44 level. What are you seeing on the ICP chart?
Sure. I just have the vertical one pulled up. Let me get ICP pulled up. All right. Yeah, I haven't charted out ICP in a while. There we go. Yeah, I mean, this looks pretty solid. I'd want to see it take some, logarithmic view. Yeah, just this is a big kind of like, volatility funnel or accumulation funnel. Above $13-14, it starts to get pretty interesting. So you kind of have a big level right there that we kind of chopped through. Hasn't traded super cleanly through there, but if this, obviously it launched at like a crazy fully diluted valuation last cycle. You had tons of distribution. You finally put in your bottom. We finally put in a higher low. We also put in a lower low here. So we're starting to see some structure finally form for ICP on the higher time frames. We're on the 3-day chart. So this looks like, here's the thing with ICP, or with this chart for me. From this chart, like timing, if you buy ICP now, you potentially get just kind of sucked into another couple of months of chop sideways, right? So like, even if you bought down in this range, you kind of got stuck in some chop for, between $7 and $9. In October and November, when like there was a lot of other like meme coins running, you could have been investing in some different things. Also, if you invested over here, right, like just kind of looking at this as a breakout, right? You've kind of like, let's say you got in at $11, right, on this breakout. You've kind of just been kind of sideways for months on end. So whenever you have like a big pattern like this, and XRP is a really good example because it just went sideways and chopped for so long before it actually broke out. It had so many fake attempts before it actually broke out. The way that I would look at XRP as a trader, and not as an investor, but as a trader that's wanting to maximize returns on for the time that I'm allocated to an asset, I'd personally be looking to be pretty patient here and wait for a clean breakout of this level, right? So I would really want to see a higher high made here. Zoomed in, I want to see a higher high made above $15. And that may seem counterintuitive, but then you're buying at $15, $16 versus just buying now at $12.30. Well, the problem with buying at $12.30 as a trader is if you're buying at $12.30, we could see something like this. And then if we go parabolic, maybe we get a little bit of price action here. January disappoints compared to where my expectations are. And then, June and July start to heat up and the alt season is really deeper in the year. You potentially just, get sucked into this investment or trade for a very long period of time of chopping sideways. Also, like frequently you'll see some level of, symmetry play out. And right now what I'm looking at is, you kind of have I'm not going to call it an inverse head and shoulders, but you have all of this chop over here. And then you have, your chop that put in your bottom. So the length of this person, I mean, again, this is, not necessarily an exact science, but it wouldn't surprise me. So we had, 180 days of chop there, probably about the same below that level. 180 days of chop here wouldn't be that out of line with how markets like to be symmetric, right? You can even see it over here. You had about the same amount of chop on either on these 3 areas of the chart. Same thing over here, right? This, as far as time goes, were all about the same length. And this was some nice vertical accumulation. But again, it still took some time to really break out and take off. So it could by all means like just absolutely run here. But for me, I think this is more likely to chop. I want to see like a very clean, like symmetric triangle here form breaking out through this level and then jump in on momentum for something like ICP. That's just me. I'd say the chart looks very constructive overall. I think the lows are very likely in. I think the risk to ICP is just chopping sideways and being not allocated to the strongest thing in the market at this moment in time. Once this chops sideways some more, I think it gets way more attractive probably in like April, May, June, personally.
Awesome.
Could be wrong on that.
Yeah, you know, charting and guys, I'm sure a lot of you understand, but you know, charting and stuff is all about probabilities, right? And then one more thing I do want to talk about, my friend Rob will be really happy about this one. This is an update from crypto.com. US users, you can now add stocks and ETFs to your portfolio, available in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Washington, and Arizona today, soon across the country. For a limited time, get up to 3% bonus when you transfer your securities into the crypto.com app. Talking about trading with zero fees, buying and selling fractional shares, and transferring assets. And so this was on their roadmap. It's something we talked about. But, you know, what are your thoughts here, Rob? And do you think, how does this affect the Kronos token ecosystem wise? You know, obviously price.
It sounds like you're a lot more bullish than I genuinely don't take much away from it, honestly. I think it's a product that they launch or something that they have available that sure will get some users to buy into it or buy stocks. But I feel like if you download your crypto.com app, you're there for crypto. And I think that, like myself personally, I'm not investing in stocks. And so if I got the crypto.com app, I'm not going to buy any stocks on there. I'm sure there's some subset of the user base that is, but I'd imagine it has to be small. I don't know. I don't take much away from it. Still very bullish on Kronos token. I think what we saw out of BitGet is something that we might see out of Kronos. I know BitGet's situation was off of the back of burning a shit ton of tokens. But I do think that exchange tokens will have its place in the kind of the sectors that rally this coming bull market. We haven't yet seen that. We kind of got a taste out of it out of BitGet, but I do think that Kronos is something that I'm eyeballing. I have a slice of my portfolio for this, and I don't know. I don't see many plays in exchange tokens outside of Kronos. I think that's the winner for me. I think you could get more upside, more risk from other ones, but so yeah, stocks, crypto.com, kind of a dud for me, but still bullish on crypto.com.
What are your thoughts on crypto.com, Forrest? You bullish on a Crow token?
I haven't looked at a chart in a while, but I genuinely like exchange tokens are generally like a pretty safe way to play the market. Generally, like if you look even at BNB, like you throw BNB and Bitcoin performance on top of each other, like BNB, like Binance owns a ton of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin goes down, it's hard for BNB to go up. If Bitcoin goes up, it's really hard for BNB not to go up. I think they, correlate to Bitcoin's price action a little bit more than some of these other narratives like meme coins and AI and, DeFi even. So anytime like any exchange token, I'm just always going to default like it's probably going to trade pretty correlated to Bitcoin. So if I'm bullish on Bitcoin, then yeah, I'm bullish on Crow, but I don't know if it'll outperform. If it does outperform, I don't know if it'll outperform by a ton, but I don't think you're going to like, the only thing with exchange tokens is you do like, you do introduce versus Bitcoin. You do introduce a little bit more like exchange risk, centralized exchange risk, regulatory risk. If one of these exchanges get, busted for fraud in a certain country, there's a little bit of risk involved with exchange tokens, but I think in general, they're just going to perform in line with Bitcoin, maybe outperform it by a little on the pumps, underperform it by a little on the dumps.
Awesome. And then before we sign off, I guess one more question I'll kind of ask you, Forrest. What is your one piece of advice for people heading into Q1 of this year? Is it maybe a narrative or a sector to watch out for? Is it any insight you want to give to the people watching? Maybe some advice.
Asset selection is super important. Usually the strongest, fastest horses are what you want to be allocated to. The winners and it doesn't mean that like in crypto and especially in the AI sector, like winners can be knocked off and replaced by new things. But in general, you just want to like look for the strongest charts. And just because something is pumped doesn't mean it's not going to pump a lot more. Something that is at like a 3 billion market cap or a 4 billion market cap might seem like a lot. And compared to what we see in a bear market, it is a lot. But in a bull market, I mean, we saw Axie Infinity go to like 20 to 40 billion dollars. And that was just a random game, a blockchain game last cycle. It wasn't infrastructure, it wasn't a layer one, it wasn't anything crazy, but it still went to like 20 to 40 billion dollars fully diluted valuation. So you have something like Virtual's protocol, which has been just absolutely screaming, probably has to take a breather sooner or later. But at the same time, it's been the strongest horse and it's at a $4.2 billion valuation. These things can go, I mean, like AI infrastructure can go to 20, 30, 40 billion dollars in a bull market. If some of these games can go 20 to 40 billion dollars, or even we saw meme coins, we saw Shiba Inu at like 30 or 40 billion last cycle.
44.
So I think you want to find the strongest, fastest horses and have some allocation towards those versus constantly trying to play the casino. Like I'm all for playing some low caps here and there, but I think we're moving into a part of the market where playing that game is going to become increasingly difficult versus just allocating to the winners. That as you see the type of participants that come into a bullish market, they're unsophisticated retail participants. They're not going to find that 1 million market cap token that you think you're so bullish on. They're going to find Virtual. They're going to see the largest cap AI tokens be BitTensor and Virtual's protocol and AI16Z. And those are the ones that they're going to allocate to. And that's where I think this next stage of the market starts to break away, where you probably want to be focused more on mid and large cap winners versus trying to find that like 100K to 1 million market cap token that you're going to try to like 100 or 200x on. I think that's a dangerous game to play, and you're missing out on potential like layup 3, 5, 10x's in some of the bigger winners of the cycle.
Yeah, that's some great advice for us. My advice is very simple: do not miss the AI train. Do not. A lot of people think it's too late. It's not. It's not too late. And so my big recommendation for you is go follow this man on X, Sistine Research, and watch our show. Watch our show, because I told you guys coming into this year, we're going to be your go-to channel on YouTube for AI. And so thanks to Forrest, he connected me with the founder of Virtuals. We're going to be interviewing him on Monday. It'll be a standalone video. So excited for that. A lot of great insights going to come from that video. And so, but Forrest, I mean, this man is a legend in our space. I'm telling you, this guy's research is top notch. So if you're not following him, I can't imagine you guys aren't, but if you aren't, go do it. Sistine Research on X. And do not sleep or miss AI. It is not too late. Be methodical. Do your research, get information, and you'll make a lot of money, man. You'll make life-changing money. And so you've heard multiple people say it. You're going to start to see multiple other people say it. People like Forrest, people like us. It's all about being early and getting the information early. Sure, can you make money in 2-3 months? Yes, but your X's start to diminish, right? You want to be early into a space. You want to allocate funds into solid projects and get top level information. And you're going to get that from people like Forrest and from channels like ours. So that'll do it for the show today. Before we hop off, I want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow in networking, IT, and cybersecurity, visit bluewiretech.com or click the link on the description of this video. That'll do it for today's show.
Real quick, let me just give a little love to the new faces here. We have Muscle Mike, Kazia, Oren, Trey, Studio 8, Stephen Jupe, Ryan I, Ryan W, GU or QU, Empire 175, I got Lounge WLT and Michael M, Jamie Portsmouth, and to all of you, hola! Viva Las Vegas! City Crypto. Also, Crypto Cubano. Seaton, here last minute. So there you go.
And then we had a super sticker from Jose. So Jose, thank you. Also, Robert said, "Can you check Tima? It's been consolidating, looking ready to head up and cross all-time high." We'll take a look at that next week. Just remind me next week, and we'll take a look at that chart. I'm not familiar with the project, but as long as it's not some scam, we'll take a look at it. And then one more thing. Someone said, I thought this channel, so Studio 88 said, I thought this channel is all about small caps. We're pretty fluid, right? We believe you can still make money on some large cap coins like Cardano, like ICP, like Caspa. But we also believe there's a lot of really good money to be made in smaller and mid cap. So we do a little bit of everything on this channel. And so, yeah, with that being said.
And also, Luisa says, stumbled across you guys yesterday. Loving the content. You know, we hadn't heard anything from Ashley today. Ashley, what's going on over there?
Oh, y'all know I'm here?
Yeah. Yeah, how you doing? You buying any crypto today?
I've been giving my financial advice.
Oh, nice.
She's been Googling.
I've been Googling.
Heard you were setting up a trust wallet today.
I'm trying to figure that out. David said he'll help me later. Don't know when later is.
You know, our mutual friend Charles?
Yeah.
He's been so against crypto, right? You know what he asked me yesterday?
What?
He said, hey, Dave, what's a good wallet if I want to start buying some crypto?
There you go.
No one knows this guy, but he's been like the most anti-crypto person that I think Rob and I have as a mutual friend. He's all about his stocks. He's a little on the older side. And
gold and
but hey, the masses are coming and they're going to continue to come. With that being said, Chase, thank you all so much for tuning in. Forgot about what? Bold Broadcasting. We're going live in about 10 minutes. Come join us. Non-crypto related. We're going to talk some politics and some trending news. We love you guys. Have an amazing weekend. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.